Right at the beginning of the anime, we see what appears to be a group of children playing in some kind of school. But this is a very modern school since the teachers are robots. The exam is about math, but suddenly there's something very strange about question 11. The question asks, do you want to go outside? Do you want to go outside? We meet our protagonist, this spiky-haired boy named Maru and this intense, crazy girl named Kiruko. They're both looking for supplies and end up seeing a small house. Kiruko uses the age-old technique of opening doors and they start searching the house. Maru finds some toilet paper, thank goodness. Kiruko finds a toilet and is happy to do her business in one, and tells Maru to give her privacy. That's how she likes them. They both end up arriving at a room where there are two dead bodies holding hands. Kiruko says that apparently they died of hunger, so there's no point in looking for food in this house. They go to another house and Maru ends up cooking some vegetables, but when they try them, they taste horrible. Cooking is definitely not your thing, my crazy girl. At night, before going to sleep, Kiruko looks at a photograph, and Maru asks her who those people are. She tells him that one is a friend of hers, and the other is just someone she wants to see. Furthermore, we are told that Kiruko is taking Maru somewhere, and she is his bodyguard. But as they are walking, damn it, they run into some bandits. One gets excited and says that they are two women. Maru, it seems that the haircut doesn't suit you, huh? But Kiruko says that he is also a man now. Kiruko pulls out a gun, but Maru tells her that she doesn't have much ammo. And why are you telling the assailants that? Idiot! The assailants end up retreating, but one of them says that doesn't look like a real gun. It looks more like a toy gun. It looks more like a toy gun. And Kiruko says that they have to escape. What? Really? No? How cute. But, good heavens, Maru makes these guys Wednesday. Oh my gosh, this is really bad. Kiruko turns around and shoots a pole at him. Holy crap, that gun was real. Kiruko says to take them to a place called Paradise. The bandits live in what looks like an abandoned hospital, but they have absolutely nothing worth stealing from them. Kiruko sees a generator and gets excited since it can charge its battery. Kiruko asks these guys if they know of a place called Paradise, or if they've heard of it. This guy with a helmet on his head tells her that he's heard of a place called Paradise where they grow tomatoes and explains how they can get there. Yeah. They give him their battery and Kiruko sets the alarm. Kiruko kept threatening them the whole time with a gun that didn't have a charge. The bandits are furious, but Kiruko calms them down. Quiet, guys, quiet. It seems that Kiruko does things the old-fashioned way. I'll make a quick aside. Throughout the anime, we are told two stories, that of the school kids and that of Maru and Kiruko. Nothing else to add, let's continue with the summary. After a while, Kiruko says that she is too tired to keep walking and tells him that she doesn't understand how he always has so much energy. In addition, it is revealed to us that Maru is 15 years old and Kiruko is 20. They both end up arriving at an inn where the owner lets them rest in exchange for some bills and batteries. Kiruko asks the lady if she has seen this guy named Robin. Plus, she states she doesn't know the other person's name, only that he's called Doctor. They both arrived in heaven. The place has hot springs. Kiruko gets ready to take a bath. What? Oh my gosh, her body is covered in scars. Yeah, they both end up taking a bath and Kiruko dries her hair. Sure. The world went to the week, but first dead. How simple. Returning to school, we meet several of the kids. This girl with the tired look on her face is Mimichime. This one with short hair is called Tokyo. This one with the ponytail is called Taka. Taka asks if she wants to play with him, but they say no, since they're very busy. Taka says that in that case, he'll play alone. He throws his ball really far, and holy crap, he's crazy and jumps off the building. Eyeballing. But he lands really well. He even runs really fast. The school is surrounded by walls, and Mimichime tells Tokyo that she wonders what it's like outside, but Tokyo tells her that they're already outside. But he doesn't understand what she's talking about, but Mimichime tells her that she thinks there's another world behind those walls. At night, Tokyo leaves his room and ends up running into the school principal. Tokyo doesn't hold back and asks her if it's true that there's another world behind those walls. The principal asks her why she thinks that, but in the end, she ends up confessing that it is, but it's a chaotic world full of monsters. Kiruko sees that the lady has a gun and asks her why she has it. She says that there's a monster roaming the area. Maru and Kiruko get alert and ask if it's a man-eater. She says that they're monsters that devour people. Seriously. No, I don't believe you. I thought the term man-eater meant that they hug. She says that they can kill him, but the lady ignores them and prepares them something to eat. The lady suddenly says that if they're siblings, they shouldn't do dirty things to each other. Think other. Kiruko, very upset, tells her that they're not siblings and that they don't have that kind of relationship. The lady apologizes to them. Ma'am, don't apologize! Honestly, I would have thought exactly the same thing. She tells him that they paid her to be his bodyguard and take him to a place. She tells him that to her, Maru is just an object. Damn, Kiruko. That's no way to talk about another person. And at night, Maru gives her the silent treatment. Kiruko starts to feel dizzy and her body is very, very heavy and ends up knocked out. But the lady takes out a shotgun and prepares to spend the night when suddenly a monstrous bird appears. Guys, I have some advice. Kiruko wakes up in the middle of the night and feels something at her window. She grabs her gun and goes out with Maru to investigate. She says that the woman apparently tricked them with food since she feels very weak. Kiruko runs into the lady. She tells him that they will help her kill that thing, but it is too dark. All they can hear are grotesque sounds, like their mother. They end up resembling this thing, and it lunges at them. Kiruko and Maru manage to escape. Maru says that it apparently has some whips in its stomach with which it is attacking them, but when they look back, it is gone. The man-eater pounces on them, the moon clears, and they begin to have a little more clarity. Maru tries to distract that thing while she waits for the ideal moment to shoot it. But when she is about to shoot, the lady throws her to the ground and says that they are not going to touch her son. What? Huh? The lady says that this monster is her son. She doesn't understand exactly how it happened. She only knows that her son ended up turning into that thing. Ma'am, if that's true, I'm sorry. And secondly, get out of there and that thing will eat you alive.
I can't argue with that logic.
Kiruko says that in that case, she drugged him to protect the man-eater. But she tells him that she's never heard of humans turning into man-eaters. She also tells her not to be silly, that he's not her son. But the lady keeps insisting. She says that he's her son. Kiruko gives up and decides to let him live. Oh yeah, of course. Let's leave the huge, winged, Solanico-like thing that eats people. I live happily and peacefully. You've gone crazy! To Burger! The man-eater kills the lady and ends up eating her. Damn, lady, I told you. I told you to get out of the way, but no, you never listened to me. Maru's quite shaken up, but that crazy Kiruko is completely serene. Maru says he'll take care of killing the man-eater. Maru pounces. The man-eater attacks, but Maru dodges and touches it with his hand. Suddenly, we see some kind of arm that destroys a core. I can't believe it! Maru did it! Maru just killed that thing! The next morning, they start talking to each other. And Kiruko says she thinks the owner fed the man-eater with the guests who stayed at the inn. And they end up leaving there. They both start talking about an event called the Great Calamity. This event, which we still haven't explained what it is, led to complete ruin. They both continue traveling and get on a makeshift raft. Thank God this thing floats. Maru wonders if there are crocodiles or sharks in the water, but Kiruko tells him he doesn't know. You know, if there was a competition for the world's worst bodyguard, they wouldn't give it to you because they wouldn't accept professionals. Honestly, let's be honest. They both work like crazy to get to the other side. When they get to the other side, they finally reach paradise. Maru gives him a little box. He told him a syringe was there filled with something. He's supposed to find someone just like him in paradise and inject him with it. It turns out that the person who gave Kiruko the mission was very sick. Plus, she was the one who gave him the ray gun. Kiruko and Maru talk to the locals and ask if this is paradise. The locals let them through and ask them how they got there. They say they got there by rowing. The guy tells them that that was crazy since that water was full of crocodiles. There you go, I told you. The world's worst bodyguard. We meet Kusakade, the leader of this community, and his wife, Momoko. She tells them that they are a small group trying to survive. At first, there were just a few farmers, but over time, more people joined. Kiruko asks if this is paradise, and she says yes. Later that night, Kiruko says that something is not right. There is not a single person here who looks like Maru, so this can't be the right place. Yes. But a guy recognizes Kiruko and calls her by her name, Kiro Takjaya. He says he knows her from the races, but she disappeared 5 years ago. Maru takes the photo and snails from him. They are identical. But Kiruko says, no, that's not her. Maru sees some boxes and sees that they have the same logo as Kiruko's weapon. They ask where these boxes come from, but the guy tells them he has no idea. He gets boxes from everywhere. Finally, he asks what place he knows about called Paradise. He tells them they could try looking in Sakusa. They both decide to continue their journey. They both end up boarding a boat to reach Sakusa. Thank goodness, Maru, because if you follow the advice of the super bodyguard, you're gonna end up dead, man. You're gonna end up dead, man. Returning to school, Tokyo finds himself talking to this boy in a wheelchair named Afrayo. He starts to feel a little bad, so he decides to go back to his room. And this girl named Kuku shows Tokyo a drawing. Tokyo tries to take it from him, but he's like, what? What do these kids feed them? Or what's up? She tells him that Kona gave it to her. We meet this boy named Kona. Tokyo asks him why he gave his drawing to Kuku, and he promises that he'll give it to her next time. Meanwhile, this mushroom head named Shiro receives a message from Imjin that turns out to be a hot photo. A few days later, Taka tries something stupid and starts climbing using these devices and gets pretty high. Holy crap, my maternal instinct tells me that you'll fall and break your face. I'm a man, but my maternal instinct tells me so. Holy crap, that ends up falling. You see, I told you? But no, they never listen to me. What the hell? The guy gets up as if nothing happened. Maru and Kiruko start talking and you won't believe it. Maru confesses to Kiruko that he's in love with her. Kiruko rejects him and tells him that it's hard to explain, but even though he has a woman's body, he's actually a man. We get a flashback to 5 years ago. Back then, they had electric vehicle races, and man, Kiruko was very, very popular in these races. The crazy girl was quite the celebrity, but while all this was going on, a boy named Haruki is being bullied by some thugs. But at the Burger King, they get kicked in the ass by this guy named Robin. Robin goes back to these guys on Wednesday and tells Haruki not to be afraid when he fights, to attack his enemy without mercy. When they return with their friends, Haruki throws Robin's jacket away. It's too big for him, but he's happy. Edo arrives with Kiruko, and she's accompanied by this guy who's known as the Doctor. What? This girl wants to take a picture since Kiruko is like a celebrity. But this guy approaches Haruki and tells him that he's heard that the Doctor's investigating man-eaters and says that Robin is investigating him. Because very strange things have been happening lately in the town. Later that night, several men start to move. Robin tells Haruki that they found a man-eater, but tells him to stay put. Since Haruki is an idiot, he grabbed a weapon and decides to go help Robin. It turns out that Haruki managed to kill the man-eater that night, and Robin got really mad at him. And how do you expect him not to get mad? What if that thing had eaten an arm? But suddenly Haruki asks what time it is and leaves like a madman in a hurry. It turns out that Kiruko has a race today and Haruki wants to watch it, but he hears a strange noise, and when he looks at the burger with his binoculars, it's a man-eater. That can only mean one thing. Haruki tries to warn everyone, but it's too late. The race has already started, so Haruki decides to beat it alone. What? Alone? You alone, Haruki? You've gone crazy! Haruki shoots that thing at him, but it doesn't even tickle him. Haruki, I'm gonna give you some advice, my boy. Haruki takes off his jacket and pulls out a knife to face it. What about a knife? A knife! Haruki, you've lost your mind? Haruki stabs him, but the man-eater slowly starts absorbing him. See? I told you to run! But no! You wanted to be a hero! As soon as he's at the head of the race and he arrives and gets into a fight with the man-eater, he tells the other drivers to cancel the race since there's a man-eater on the track. Kiruko turns around, and when he turns around, he realizes it's Haruki. He throws the bike at the man-eater right in the face and rips Haruki from that thing's mouth. But holy crap, Haruki's body got eaten! Kiruko screams like crazy for help, and Haruki ends up unconscious. Haruki ends up having emergency surgery last night. A few days later, Haruki ends up waking up, and he still has his legs. What? In the hallway, she overhears doctors talking about a man-eater killing a child, but when Haruki looks in the mirror, Jesus Christ, is Kiruko's body! Haruki starts to panic, and the doctors calm her down. Later, she asks a nurse where the doctor who operated on her is, but they tell her that after the operation, he left town. I can't believe it! The doctor put Haruki's brain in Kiruko's body. 4 months later, after Haruki recovered, she returned to town to look for Robin. But they tell her that he was murdered. Hail Mary, blessed Guadalupe. This gets more intense every time! Haruki runs like crazy to get to the orphanage, but that man tells her that the orphanage no longer exists. Apparently everyone left there. The pilot of the Fanedos died in an accident and their leader disappeared. Haruki starts to cry, but suddenly remembers what the man told her. He told her that Robin disappeared, not that he died, so he sets out to look for him and also find the doctor, since he has all the answers to all his questions. And that's how Haruki now lives in Kiruko's body. It's been 4 years since then, and Maru is the first person he tells this to. Maru is disappointed to hear this. Calm down, champ. There are plenty of fish in the sea, but suddenly a noise is heard. This guy says he saw a huge monster outside the window. Meanwhile, back at school, this boy named Kona is busy drawing a picture of a baby. Cuckoo tries to tell Conan something about babies, but she's suddenly interrupted by a robot. Tokyo tells her to stop bothering him and ends up taking her outside with her. But once outside, she tells him that there's something wrong with Conan's drawing, since real babies don't have faces. Have what? Girl, did you fall or something? And asks Tokyo if she wants to go see one with her. Tokyo meets Cuckoo in the school garden, and Cuckoo tells her to follow her, and starts climbing the walls. Oh yeah, of course. It's just climbing the walls. How the hell do you plan on Tokyo following you crazy? Tokyo ends up using the same device that Takaka used to climb. Cuckoo guides her through the ventilation ducts and takes her to a room where the babies are. And Cuckoo tells her to look, but when does she see the mother? They're man-eaters. Since they're both girls who've been locked up their whole lives, they don't know what babies look like. Cuckoo, I really love you, but you don't have to be half-witted to know that thing isn't a baby. But damn, suddenly an intruder alarm goes off. Meanwhile, the supervisors notice strange behavior in the children through the security cameras. Estaka continues to act normal, and there are 2 girls kissing. They wonder where they learned that, if they have never taught him anything like that. But the most important thing is that Tarao begins to get seriously complicated. They call the entire medical team to his room to help him. The superiors hear the alarm, but they arrive at this strange room where the director is. Cuckoo helps Tokyo to get up, but Tokyo accidentally kicks the wall to be able to push herself. They both manage to escape from here. The director talks to this robot named Mina. She is the one who controls the entire school and asks her if she detected any intruders, but she tells her no, that the alarm went off, but that she did not detect any. Returning to Kiruko, they inform the captain that there is a man-eater on the ship. Kiruko shoots it in the face, but damn, it didn't even tickle it. They ask Tokyo if they can shoot it again, but she says no, that has no cargo. Besides, the little boat is a piece of junk. They are really fried. Kiruko deduces that fighting him at sea is crazy, so she decides to fight him inside the ship. Does it seem smart to you to put that thing inside? Manu asks her how she planned to defeat him without her gun, and she tells him that she will kill him by touching him with her hands. Huh? I think exactly the same, Maru. Kiruko ends up bringing the man-eater to the ship, and what have I got for him? There are a lot of boxes, but the man-eater keeps attacking. Oh my gosh, they open some doors to put him in a hole, but it is still full of boxes. But Kiruko tells Maru to jump over it. Maru tries to open the door, but damn, it is closed. He eats hungry, ends up stepping on something, and his arm dries up. Kiruko tells him that this was all part of her plan. She knew that the ship was carrying Wanamari, and since Wanamari is a dry plant, it absorbed the moisture from the fish, and they ended up making the poor thing Wednesday. Kiruko tells Maru to use her touch to kill him now. Maru puts his hand out and, by golly, completely disintegrates him. In the end, they get off the boat to continue their journey. These two want to thank him for saving them, but Tokyo tells them that she doesn't want any money. Just when I think you can't be any dumber, you outdo yourself. Kiruko says that she prefers to be paid with information and asks him if he knows the logo on his gun. The fatty tells her that it looks like the Mitsuba logo. The other guy tells her that if they continue down the street, they'll end up coming across a Mitsuba building. But when Toki and Maru arrive, it's a building in complete ruins. There's absolutely nothing here. But Maru is happy because he found something to eat. This Maru is a being of light. It seems that the crazy guy made a mistake and confused the Tokyo logo with this chicken logo. Returning to the academy, Shiro sees that the hot photo that Mim sent him is gone. So he decides to talk to her in private to see if she could send him another one. But Mimiji tells me that she has never sent him any photos. He tells her that he doesn't understand why, but he feels a strange need and curiosity for Mimi's body. He moans. What a jerk you turned out to be. As for Tokyo, he decides to see Tarado. Bold guy is very, very ill. Unaware, he attempts a kiss with Tokyo, but Tokyo repels him, then runs away. Good grief, Tarao, I'm so sorry, but you got hit, bro. Tokyo ends up running into Kona, and they both start talking about love. Tokyo tells him that the only person she wants to be with is him, and Kona tells her that he also wants to be with That night, Tokyo goes to sleep super happy about what Kona told him, but suddenly a warning is given in Tokyo's room that Taraho's condition has worsened a lot, and that he would like to talk to her. Tokyo arrives at the place and Taraho is suffering. And the poor guy apologizes to Tokyo for what he tried to do and tells him that he doesn't think he can improve. But the craziest thing is that he tells him that no matter what happens, he has to escape from school since school is a very dangerous place. As for Maru and Kuroko, they end up arriving in a small town. Tokyo is shopping and Maru is playing arcade games until he runs into some people with very friendly faces. This giant turns off the arcade game and starts to bother him, but he gets caught. Maru beats him up, but they kick Maru in the face. They even knock out a tooth, but Maru is super happy. I like this guy too much. Maru ends up defeating all the bullies, and Kuroko arrives to help him. Seriously, here now. Yamaro did all your work. Super bodyguard. And he sees that they knocked out Maru's tooth. I already told you, the bodyguard of the year. Suddenly we get a flashback of Maru's past. Apparently he was born the same year the Great Calamity happened. He says he was raised in a kind of orphanage, but when he turned 7, the orphanage, for some strange reason, closed down. And as crazy as it sounds, he and a group of orphans kept surviving until the day the adult who was taking care of them was killed, apparently in a fight. And the guy who killed him ended up becoming the new leader of these kids until the day Maru met this girl named Mikanes Makura. And it was she who taught him how to kill the man-eaters with his power. Maru tells Kiruko all this. Kiruko asks him if he remembers the name of the city, but he tells her that he spent a long time traveling with Mikura, but that Mikura was a very cold woman, and he can't remember anything else. Kiruko tells him that he'll remember something with time. He also collected a lot of manga to sell at the market. He tells Maru that he's staying in the apartment to avoid getting his face kicked in by the guys from yesterday. But before leaving, he asks Maru if Makura taught him how to kill the thugs with his bare hands, if she was also capable of doing it, But Maru tells him no, that Makura told him that only he could do that. Meanwhile, in the city, the thugs continue looking for Maru and talk about something called the Ministry. And Kiruko has a flashback. Yeah, I know, guys, I know. I know it's complicated, but let's remember that Kiruko is actually Haruki. Robin told them that a group of people called the Ministry are trying to make the world go back to the way it was before, but he tells her that he doesn't think that's possible. If someone approaches you and asks about your skills, play dumb, pretend you don't understand what they're asking. Kiruko ends up going back to the apartment, but sees that the door is open. She looks for Maru, but can't find him. Oh, Kiruko, I really love you, but this just confirms what I've been telling you throughout the anime. You're the worst bodyguard in the world. Kiruko runs off like crazy to look for Maru, and in another room, oh my gosh, it's Maru. Maru, you almost gave the poor crazy girl a heart attack. Kiruko goes in to see what he was doing, and no way. What was Maru doing? He was watching, how should I put it? Adult entertainment. Kiruko starts to cry. She was really scared that he wasn't there. He gives her a hug to comfort her, but she says she feels something hard on her leg. And Maru says it was because she was already halfway down. This Maru's a total lunatic. By nightfall, they both talk about the Great Calamity. There are many theories about what happened, but no one knows exactly what it was. The next morning, they see a map and see that there is a place that has 100% drinkable water. This is something strange, but Kiruko hears someone come up and knock on the door. But it's only this guy. Apparently, he was traveling on the ship with them. He wants to contact Maru and Kiruko as bodyguards. Sir, he seems like a good person to me, so I'm gonna give you some advice. Hire Maru with your eyes closed. He's super strong and super intelligent, but don't hire this lying con artist. Trust me, you'll thank me later. The guy says he wants to go to the Immortal Order. Apparently there lives a doctor there who can keep people alive forever. Kiruko asks him if that doctor is this doctor. He tells her he doesn't know, since he hasn't seen him yet. He says that apparently if you transplant parts of human brains, they become super powerful, and the crazy guy carries a piece of brain with him, but for some strange reason, it ended up disintegrating. Kiruko asks him where the order is, and they both decide to go see there. But on the map, it says, be careful, strange people. Good grief, call me crazy, but I would never go to a place like that. Returning to school, in the incubation room, this scientist named Zakata sees the boot print that Toko left behind when he ran away, and wonders how that boot got there. There he goes to investigate a little while the children play music to try to cheer Tarao up, but that same night, unfortunately, Tarao ends up dying.
No!
I'm so sorry, Tarao, and even more sorry that Tokyo beat you up, bro. The next morning, the children are informed that Toro ended up passing away, and a funeral is held in his honor. They start talking about a girl who studied with them named Asura, and who apparently also died of a strange illness. The adults talk about this more in depth. Apparently, Asura ended up committing self-murder, and the director says that it was everyone's fault. The doctor tells him that Tarao's body was a body created with immunity, and yet he developed a disease. He says that there is a possibility that the other children will also get infected. The director says that she has to investigate what this disease is and cure it. As for Tokyo, she is vomiting in the bathroom. She fears that she is also sick. But the craziest thing about all this is that they ended up cremating Tarao's body. But when they did, a strange cocoon was inside. Our heroes decide to leave their things at a hotel with this girl so that she can take care of them. In addition, she tells them that the water inlet is in an underground entrance. They both go in to check, and no way, there is water, but it doesn't seem very clean. Suddenly, they see an injured person. Maru quickly goes to help him, but he has a huge wound on his back. The guy tells them to help his partner since a monster attacked them, but his friend is stiffer than concrete when suddenly, that burger, it is a bad bear! It is a bad bear! They both go outside, and Maru shoots a column at the bear, and succeeds until you finally do your job well. He tells Maru to touch it now to kill it. Maru slaps it on the chest, and the bear wakes up. Maru, I'm gonna give you some advice. They both run like crazy, and end up climbing a structure to get away from the bear. It turns out that the bear is a real bear, which is why Maru can't kill it with his touch. Maru asks him how he could send him to kill a bear. And it surprises you, this girl's the worst bodyguard in the world. A few hours later, they look out and the bear is gone. Kiruko says that she thinks she has a shot in her gun and tries to warm it up, but while trying to warm it up, the idiot dropped the battery. Why? Why does it surprise me? Kiruko starts manipulating Maru and tells her that if she comes down, she'll let him touch her breasts. Maru rushes to get the battery and quickly climbs the stairs, but tries to throw it. Maru manages to climb the structure. Kiruko tells him that Maru's physical ability is not human at all. Seriously, don't tell me. That's why he should go down and kill the bear with the gun. Yeah. So Iruko can use the bear's body to land and reach the ground. It's a joke, right? You're the worst bodyguard in the world! But Maru tells him that his aim isn't as good as hers. In that case, they both come up with a plan. They expect the bear to move away, and both will descend to the ground. What a great landing, crazy girl! The bear lunges at them and Kiruko shoots it. I can't believe it! She did it. The crazy girl hit it right in the face and ends up eating the bear's meat for dinner. But Kiruko says it looks like they were tricked. The bear was a trap. She says she should have known as soon as she read 100% drinkable water. Kiruko tells him that it's time to sleep now and wants Maru to go to her room, but Maru tells him that they have a pending debt before that. Kiruko tells him to remember that he's actually a man trapped in his sister's body, but Maru says that as long as her body is that of a woman, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Yes, it's the best, Maru, if you're a little sick. But Totori ends up arriving in the room and tells Maru that this isn't a hotel to do dirty things in, and ends up taking him to his room. And tells him that she'll gladly do it in exchange for 800,000 yen. Ah! Damn, Maru, what a situation you're in. The girl gets naked and tells him to touch her, but Maru yells at Kyoku to rescue him. Kiruko ends up entering the room, but what can I tell you? It's a very complex scene. They both apologize to Tori for what happened. What apologize? That crazy woman pounced on you. They almost abused you, my poor Maru. She tells them that she is an orphan who was raised by bandits. She also says that she will earn money that way from now on. The next morning, they both end up leaving the place. Maru says goodbye and says that they hope to see each other again soon. Returning to school, it turns out that TikTok is fine. It is not a disease of any kind, but they tell her that she must rest. But while she sleeps, she sees the body of her dead classmate. She is a trash can, but she ends up fainting, and suddenly Tokyo's leg begins to get infected. Tokyo wakes up. Thank God it was all just a dream. The doctor asks Tokyo how she is feeling, but he continues to wonder about the footprint he saw that day in his laboratory. Later that night, Tokyo wakes up and goes to Kona's room, and they end up taking off their clothes and doing crazy things. Good heavens, what do these guys feed her? They are always so horny. The professor compares Tokyo's footprint with the one found in his laboratory, and they are 92% compatible. They discovered Tokyo. The next day, Maru and Kiruko make a sign. I don't know if you mentioned this, but Maru can't write. So Kiruko finally finishes painting a sign stating that they kill men with the purpose of getting paid. They're both fishing and trying to find the immortal order, but there's no sign or signal to help them find them. They end up making a campfire and are spotted by a group. They report it to their leader and say they saw a sign that said they could kill like men. Then, the leader asks his subordinates to bring them. Some guys end up taking Maru and Kiruko to another place full of people. They ask if they're the immortal order, since they're looking for this doctor. A guy says that this guy looks a lot like Dr. Usami, but the guys from the order arrive and Maru and Kiruko aren't there. These guys belong to a group called Liviaman that opposes the immortal order. And this girl is their leader, Peter. Misashi tells her that they saw the sign that says they kill man-eaters and they want to hire them. Kiruko asks what the immortal order is. Masashi tells her that they pretend to be a hospital. She tells her that about a year ago she had an injury and went to the immortal order to try to treat it, but they ended up locking her up and removing her leg. Ooh! She thinks that she was an experiment by Dr. Usami and says that to this day there are still many people who go to get treatment and have their body parts removed. But she tells them that that wasn't the worst of it. She says that while she was there, she saw something extremely horrible. She saw a person torn to pieces, connected to a bunch of machines. She tells her that Dr. Usami is a ruthless and heartless doctor. Kiruko asks if it's from Susami, but they say no. Kiruko tells her that she's heard that they put man-eater parts in humans. They get scared and say that's precisely what they wanted to talk to them about. Oh, the Immortal Order has a man-eater in their basement. In the end, they end up hiring them to kill that thing, and that night they both end up sleeping together. I know. Be strong, Maru, be strong. The next day, Liviaman protests in front of the Immortal Order to get their attention. This bald guy tells them that once they kill the man-eater, both sides will be on equal terms and they will finally be able to talk in peace. In peace. Maru and Kiruka take advantage of the chaos to infiltrate the Order's basement, but Maru says that something is not right. He feels like this is all a trap. He asks Kiruko what if there are no man-eaters, and they are just trying to capture them to experiment on them. Maru says that they have to get out of here quickly, but Kiro notices something on top of a vehicle. It's some kind of white cocoon. Maru touches it and turns it to jam. It was a man-eater and they find another one. Kiruko thinks there may be more, so they have to look for them. But Kiruko ends up running into a huge one. None of them understand why it isn't moving. Kiriko tells her what it can do because they haven't eaten in a long time, but damn, one of them starts moving. Oh gosh. Several start to come out of the walls, rush at Kiriko, and grab her by the neck. They also grab poor Maru. Kiriko shoots, but it doesn't do anything to him. This thing approaches Kiriko and devours one of her arms. These things start to devour Kiriko. But what the hell? Maru kisses Kiriko to wake her up. It was all a hallucination? Thank goodness, I almost had a heart attack. Maru tells her to rest. He'll take care of dealing with that thing. And as always, Maru takes care of everything, while Kiriko doesn't do anything. Maru sends the man-eater to the burger. Maru, very heroic, tries to kiss her again, but gets slapped. But what's wrong with you? Don't you understand that it's a man? A very macabre man with an eye patch ends up arriving. He sees that the man is dead and starts laughing like crazy. Maru tells Kiriko that this guy looks like he's missing 2 nuts. What? Just because he has an eye patch? He's super weird and laughs when he sees a corpse. That's why he's missing 2 nuts. Good grief, you're so prejudiced, Maru. The man looks at them and says he needs their help to kill someone. The guy introduces himself to them. This guy is Dr. Usami. While Liviaman continues to protest, they start to get aggressive, and a rock almost hits him. Hey, y'all, listen carefully. Misashi almost hits him in the head, but trying to dodge it, the crazy woman hits her head. But Liviaman's people understood that the rock hit her in the head, so they start to get upset and leave the place. The Leoma men end up meeting in their lair, and one of their men confirms that the man-eater in the basement is dead. Krillin says that his name is obviously not Krillin, but since I have no idea what his name is, I'll call him that. Krillin says that in that case, it's time to carry out the plan. Krillin tells the others that their leader is dead and it's all the Immortal Order's fault. These lunatics grab sticks and iron bars and prepare to attack the building. Meanwhile, Maru and Kiriko accompany the doctor to the hospital. It turns out that this guy makes prosthetics for all the people who need them. Usami ends up taking them to the room and says that he wants them to kill that person the same way they killed the man-eater. But when they open the curtain, Jesus Christ, there's a girl who's barely staying alive. Maru asks him why he doesn't kill her, but he says that if he does that, she'll turn into a man-eater. Usai says that the man-eaters were humans before they became man-eaters, but they contracted a disease and ended up transforming them. Usagi says that she's kept this person alive, removing body parts so that she would not transform. She has done this for too long, but her body cannot take much more. She tells Maru that if he manages to kill her, she will die as a human. Maru puts his hand on the girl, and it turns out that yes, he is capable of destroying her core, but he says that he will only do it if she wants it. She writes to him through a tablet that she wants to see the sky one last time, and with great effort, they manage to fulfill that last wish. Meanwhile, the lunatics of Liviaman start killing people. Good heavens, they have gone crazy! Krillin tells them to go in and destroy everything. The Order orders an immediate evacuation. Maru and the others hear the commotion outside, but Sammy tells them to ignore it. The girl looks at Sammy one last time, as if she were trying to say goodbye, and Maru, with great sorrow, ends up ending this person's life. And Usami begins to say that he made her suffer for too long, that perhaps it would have been easier to let her become a monster. But before dying, the girl wrote something on the tablet thanking Usami for dying like a human. The eye she possessed too. It turns out that Usami took it from his face to put it on hers. She thanks him for everything and ends by telling him that she loves him. This breaks poor little Sammy's heart. No, even me. Whoever doesn't cry when hearing this is because it's just as cold. Usami ends up running into the sick and the others outside the building and tells them that the girl died of natural causes. Usami tells them to go to a nearby settlement, and after burying her, he will meet with them. Kiriko asks if by chance they have seen the doctor and Robin. People say they haven't seen the doctor, but Robin seems familiar to them. They say he was a former doctor who left without telling anyone 2 years ago. Kiriko gets very excited when he hears this, since it's the first sign that Robin is still alive. Good job! Usami tells Mario and Kimako that at first it was just him and that girl. One day, he made a prosthesis for someone, and when he realized it, he started dedicating himself to that. It made her very happy that he built prosthetics for other people, and he only did it to see her happy. Usami sits down with the girl, in his arms and a gun in his other hand, and suddenly a gunshot is heard. Good heavens! Kirukumaru quickly goes up to see what happened. Usami ended up taking his own life to be with his beloved. Maru starts to feel miserable and says that he couldn't save them. But Kiruko calms him down and tells him that he made that couple happy by granting her only wish to die as a human. Krillin takes over the Order's building and says that from now on, they will build a new faction that will take over the world. But Jesus, there's still a man-eater alive in the basement! We get a little flashback to the past. Conan is talking to this girl named Asura, Yeah, I know. I know she's not from my universe, but she's a girl. Suddenly a girl gets hurt. It's a really ugly wound, but Asura ends up healing her wound much more easily. That same night, Asura goes to Conan's room to say goodbye. He gets out of there and with some strange ability manages to detect her. Asura grows some really strange wings and ties a rope around his neck, ending up self-destructing. Kona falls, but Asura saves her with his last bit of strength. Kuna asks him to please not do something crazy, but she tells him that his time on Earth is over. He'll find someone special in the future, and she was right because now he has Tokyo with him. But something super strange happens. Kona stares at Tokyo's shirt, and it's revealed that the buttons have the same logo as Tokyo's gun. That's right. Apparently Tokyo's gun comes from Ajara Academy. The next morning, this girl introduces the children to some very strange men, but they stare at Tokyo since they notice something strange about her. But the bossy director tells her to stop wasting time and help her with something. The teacher ends up giving Tokyo some tests and tells her not to do activities that require strength for a while. The next day, Tokyo skips classes and the robot informs us that they won't see Tokyo again for a few months. An emergency meeting is called at the academy and it is said that the next director of the center will be this girl named Aoshima, but Dr. Sakutori doesn't agree with this. Leaving that aside, the director says that she wants to address the main issue of the meeting. It turns out that Tessie comes to mind. After doing tests on Tokyo, they determined that Tokyo is pregnant. No one can believe it. I know, neither can I. And everyone panics. The principal tells them to calm down, since they are investigating. But this could affect the entire academy, and it is an emergency. Returning with Maru and Kiruko to search Usami's body, they see that he has this button. It is the same button from Takajara Academy, which means that somehow Usami and that girl were related to the academy. Oh my. This is getting intense. They both say that the priority now is to go to the town where Usami lived, since perhaps the answers are there, but neither of these two open codes paid attention to where it was. Why? Why am I not impressed? The craziest thing is that Maru's tooth started to grow back, and for the record, the tooth that fell out was not a baby tooth. Suddenly an earthquake comes. Nothing serious happens, but Kiruko says that they should go to a building and try everything they can. The building is not completely collapsed and says that it is too stupid to go in like that. Maru looks out, and his mom ends up running into this guy. What a bunch of punks you've got. Kiruko asks him if he knows any of these guys, or if he's seen this logo. The guy tells him he needs to move his car for a moment, and ends up putting it on the sidewalk. He tells him he knows the logo, but he'll only tell him if he gives him his weapon in exchange. He also says he sells stories. Seriously, this guy's a con artist, but since Kiruko is dumb, she pays him for a story. This guy's name is Yuushi, and he says that no one knows exactly what the Great Calamity was, but there are 3 theories that seem to make the most sense. The first is that a meteorite hit Earth, the second is that they were invaded by aliens, and that the man-eaters came from outer space. That makes sense, doesn't it? And the third is that there was a war that got out of control, and when they used a super powerful weapon, everything went to hell, and he tells them that that was it. Kiruko gets angry because she got scammed! But I told you he was a scammer! Since Maru is even more gullible, she pays him to tell her a ghost story. Yishi says the story he's going to tell is 100% real. Oh yeah, of course you can. He says he used to live in a school surrounded by walls run by women. He says there were about 30 women, and any man who approached was beaten to pulp. But if the man was handsome, they took him prisoner. And he was prisoner number 11 in that place. They forced them to do chores and also give them their sperm to continue reproducing. One day, a couple of women asked him to help them have a baby, and one of them got pregnant. The huge problem here is that if the baby ended up being a girl, she was welcomed into the group, but if it ended up being a boy, the mothers rejected him, and the men were forced to take care of him and raise him. In order to be just another slave to women, his baby turned out to be a boy, so after 6 months, they decided to escape from the place, but they were discovered, and the only one to escape was Yuichi. The next day, the bodies of those 2 women were hung for treason, but Kiruko tells him that the story is a lie. The 11 is made with ink and tells Yuichi to get lost. Maru tells her he knows nothing about the logo yet, and Kiruki says it's not needed. It was too suspicious that he moved his van to block that wall, being the only vehicle in the city, which only means one thing. He was hiding something with his van. Oh my gosh, he was right. It is the logo, and it says Arakajara Academy. Oh, good heavens, those guys are nearby. They enter the building, and it is completely abandoned. Inside the building, they see another box with the logo. They finally made it. They arrived at the right place. They both start exploring the place, and Kiroko comes across a letter. Maru calls Kiruko and comes across another very strange symbol. Maru says he feels like this can't be paradise, but Kiruko hands him a letter. In the letter, it says that they have 18 installations, so it's possible that they are simply in the wrong installation. Kiruko and Maru end up traveling with Yuichi. They must be very confused and wondering, what? How did it happen? What happened? Calm down, I'll tell you later. It turns out the crazy guy wasn't lying. He's serious. He was prisoner number 11 in that place run by women, and he wants them to help him get revenge and get his son back. And they all head there. The next morning, they arrive at the place, and he tells her there's a problem. Kiruko has really big boobs, and he says that in that place, they hate women with big breasts. He says those women are really crazy. Maru can't go with her because he's a man, but Yuichi says he has a solution. They call her Maria, and they both approach the place. But there's a huge hole, and the place is completely empty. There's no one left in this place, and they start taking everything they can think of, but suddenly, something strange happens in the place. It starts to get really cold, and I really mean really cold. Damn, it's a man-eater! They're both about to faint, and with her last bit of strength, Kiruko shoots to scare it away. The room returns to its normal temperature, but they can still hear noises upstairs. But instead of running away, Kiruko decides to kill it. Kiruko, don't you know what? No, you don't know what. Ask the lady to tell you.
You're really stupid. Really stupid.
He fills his mouth with water and goes up to face the little guy. He ends up bumping into the big spider and starts freezing everything. But Kiruko spits out the water and ends up freezing its attack. Kiruko lunges and cuts the man-eater in half. Maru tries to kill it with his touch, but he says that the core is not in its body. They both return to Yushi and he tells them that there was no one inside that school. No women, no men, no one. But they believe that the baby may still be alive somewhere. They end up being found by some guys who recognize Yuichi. They are prisoner number 6 and prisoner number 9. They tell them that their baby is still alive and now lives with them. Yuichi ends up taking them to where they live, and on their way they tell him that a month after he left, his son began to cry all night, and the man-eater invaded the place. They escaped through the huge hole that the man-eater made, but the women ended up being the thing's dinner. They introduce Yuichi to his son, and he goes crazy with excitement when he sees his little one. At night, they have a barbecue to celebrate Yuichi's arrival. They take a hot bath and end up sleeping comfortably in a small bed. Yeah, in a small, but damn, at night, everything starts to get cold. It's the man-eater. Kiruko wakes everyone up and tells them to go outside. No one can find Yuichi, so Kiro goes in to look for him. Kiruko ends up taking the baby and feels incredibly cold. The poor girl is freezing and ends up collapsing from the cold. Maru takes the baby from her arms and takes it away from her. To hell with it. It turns out the baby is the man-eater! And Maru knows because when he picked it up, he felt a core inside it. The baby ends up waking up and crying. Apparently, he carries out the attacks unconsciously. Good heavens, this kid is very dangerous. The next morning, TikTok and Maru say goodbye, and it's a sign of gratitude. Yuichi gives him his car, his mother. What a prize! And they end up saying goodbye, but the car stalls halfway there. Oh, something very murky that happens that same afternoon is that Yuichi remembers that the night he escaped from the women's prison, when he was leaving, one of the men shouted and said he was escaping. Yuichi ends up killing the leader of these men! He says that the one who screamed the night he escaped was him, and he's the one to blame for the child's mother being dead. Yuichi ends up stealing these guys' vehicle and leaves the place. Returning with Toki and company, they don't say anything exactly, but I imagine that 9 months have already passed. The doctors told him that it's a tumor, and they're going to remove it so that he feels better. The academy prepares for the birth of Tokyo's son, while they welcome the new children of the academy. The children play really well with the older ones, except for Shiro. Oh, I don't know. Apparently the boy is shy or something. It's finally Tokyo's delivery day. While Tokyo is pushing, Kuna, for some strange reason, feels immense pain. Tokyo's baby ends up being born healthy. Dr. Zakota ends up meeting with the director and talks about the illness that the children suffer from. She asks him if 5-year-olds can get sick, and he says there's a small chance since they don't know what causes it and they don't have a cure. And the principal says that in that case, they'll use Tokyo's son. Good heavens. The teacher wants Dr. Zawada to implant the principal's brain into Tokyo's son's body. What's wrong with you, old lady? The doctor tells her that the patient must be at least 13 years old for the procedure, but the principal tells him that she doesn't have that much time and starts to get upset and confesses something very serious to Zakota. She tells Sakota that in that case, she'll take Oshima's body, and when Tokyo's son is old enough, she'll take hers. Sakota tells her that she went crazy in that case, but she tells him not to forget who's in charge of this academy. Meanwhile, Mimi runs into this girl named Oma and asks her why she doesn't play with the others. She sadly tells him that she's a monster and starts to cry. Mimi tries to calm her down and takes off her glasses, but when the girl opens her eyes, some wires grab Mimi Jean and start hurting her. Eee! Oh my gosh, someone explain to me what's going on! Mimi ends up waking me up! Oh my god, it was just a dream. At the hospital, he runs into Kona. He says it may sound ridiculous, but he feels like he's synchronized with Tokyo. Apparently, he can feel what she feels. Jesus Christ, this is love, and not nonsense. Mimi says that when she saw Oma's eyes, it's like her worst fears came true. She's really scared of sharp objects, but she doesn't understand why. You don't understand why? But what's there to understand? I mean, hello! They're sharp, they cut, they hurt, everyone's afraid of them! He tells Kona that she's able to see things that others can't. It's like she's able to see the future. And her hallucination sees that Kona's a man-eater, but she ends up telling herself that it's just an illusion and manages to wake up! When Mimijime goes out, she runs into Oma. She tells her that she's very sorry for what happened. She never meant to hurt him. Mimijime takes off her glasses. But hey, you're crazy! Mime gets caught by the cables again, but tells herself that none of this is real. And don't be a fool, you'll break the illusion. In the meantime, Uchiha meets in private and talks about a plan against the principal. Sugawara ends up leaving without explaining much. The next day, all the kids are summoned to the pool and meet up with Tokyo again. Everyone is very happy to see her, especially Conan. But she tells them that they'll have a test soon. It'll be a long test, but if they pass it, they'll be able to go outside and play their role as Garukos. Wait, Sapello, what? Their role as Garukos. I don't think I mentioned it before, but for some strange reason, Maru calls the man-eaters Jirukos, says that's what she was taught they were called. The boys start to wonder what kind of test that could be. They also wonder what Giruko's thing could be. Some boys don't understand why, but they feel like they're being called by their real names. Returning to Sugawara, he finds himself taking care of Tokyo's baby. But hold on to your seat. It turns out Tokyo had 2 babies! As for Maru and Kiruko, they're traveling in their blender on wheels and decide to stay at a camping house. But at night, while they're sleeping, they see a huge amount of smoke coming from a building, so they both decide to go check on it. But Robin is in that building! The next morning, Tokyo and Maru end up arriving at a huge market where they sell soups. What? Maru's mouth waters and she wants to buy it, but the man tells her that paper money is not used here. These chips are used here. He says that if they go to register at the Ministry of Reconstruction, they will give them chips just for registering. Maru and Kiruko go to the ministry to register. Kiruko tells Maru that the ministry is an organization that tries to return the world to the way it was. They take some pictures and fill out some forms, and give them their chips. They say the color does not matter, they're worth exactly the same. And Kiruko takes advantage and asks if they know this person. The guy asks her how they know this man. Hiroko says that please let her see him. The guy says that she will have to call him first to see if he wants to see her. The crazy girl hangs up the phone and tells him that he will wait for her in 2 hours at the filtration plant. See ya. To be closer, Hiroko decides to rent a small apartment to spend the night. Kiruko is very excited and Maru tells her that it would be better if she went alone to see Robin. That's how they catch up. Hiroko runs like crazy to the place, and when she arrives, I can't believe it. Kiruko ends up meeting Robin. The poor crazy woman cries with emotion. Robin meets with Kiruko more calmly, and he tells her that he will answer all her questions. Kiruko tells him everything! She says that he is actually Haruki in Kiruko's body. Robin sighs and says yes, that it is something that Dr. Zakota could have done. He says he's been looking for him for years, but hasn't heard from him. She tells him that she met Dr. Usami, but that the girl who was with him ended up dying. Roby tells her that he came to that place 2 years ago. Eventually, he arrived at the Ministry of Reconstruction, and he is the one who runs the plant that purifies the water from the river. Sure, Robin asks him why he doesn't take a bath so that he can talk more calmly. As for Maru, the poor guy is all alone and missing Kiruko, and goes out to buy dinner when suddenly he is attacked by some loose women. Well, they didn't attack him, but you get the idea. Kiruko takes a hot bath and feels very, very happy to have Robin with her again. But when Kiruko goes out, she can't find her clothes. She asks Robin where they are and tells him that she took them to the room to warm them up. Oh no. That smells really weird. Holy crap. Robin grabs Kiruko by the arm. Crazy Robin ends up tying Kiruko up, but Kiruko tells him what the hell is he doing? He's Haruki. Robin tells him that his body is that of a woman and that's all he cares about. Good grief. Crazy Robin ends up abusing Kiruko. This guy is sick. Returning to the academy, the next morning Tokyo wakes up and sees that his hair is short again. As for Mimi's company, they are having lunch when the children look at the sky and scream danger to their mother. Mina closes the entire academy and starts screaming that there's an error in the system. No one can leave or open any doors. To her mother, it is a huge earthquake. But what the hell? The roof explodes! After a while, that gut regains consciousness, and the director says, what the hell is going on? What do you mean, what is going on? The academy's chaos! Realize it crazy! Taka meets with Shiro and Mimishime, and they decide to escape from the place. They all take the little kids and tell them to go to the pool. Shiro says that there is a huge hole in the wall that it would not be a bad idea to go see. With the children dry, while Mimihime, Shiro, Taka, and this girl named Anso decide to go investigate the huge hole while the director begins to panic. So what? You could always walk! You could always walk, your mother's daughter! The crazy woman ends up running away, while that little girl says that now she can't tell which baby is which, so she marks one with a circle on her foot. Mimjam goes out through the hole and the others follow her, and she manages to get outside. They can't believe it! There really is an outside world. The boys are wondering if perhaps all of this will be part of the test they mentioned by the pool. Yeah, of course. Blowing up and destroying the school is part of a test! Are they crazy? Mim is worried about Tokyo, so she decides to go back. What? Taka says that in that case, he will continue with the test. In the meantime, the staff decides that the right thing to do is to return her baby to Tokyo. The problem is that they will only give her one. For what reason? I have no idea. But Zagwata doesn't know which baby to give her, and decides to give her the baby with the unmarked foot. Oshima says that he will take advantage of the occasion to carry out the Noha project. A very good plan, except that no one knows what the Noha project is. This Shima says that the priority is to protect the children. Zagwata ends up finding Tokyo and explaining the situation to her. She says that he is her son, and says that the baby is her father. They hand him over in her arms, and Tokyo doesn't understand why, but she feels very happy to have him. Ask if Kona knows about the baby. But what the hell? You again. Don't you get tired? The principal says that she won't allow the baby to be given to Tokyo. Crazy old woman, get out of here! The principal orders Mina to get the baby back from Tokyo. Mina lunges at Tokyo. But what the hell? Tokyo starts to harden her body. The principal approaches her and ends up being hardened too. Returning to Mimijim Shiro, they can't find the school shower anywhere. It's very strange, and they both end up running into a river. But damn, Mimijime falls. Shiro jumps to save her and ends up being knocked unconscious. Mimi wakes him up and asks him why he saved her, and he tells her it's because it's obvious. Shiro confesses to Mimi that he loves her with all his heart, and doesn't care if his body is torn apart 1,000 times. He'll always save her whenever he can. Mimjime takes off one of his buttons and ends up giving it to him. Concerning Maru, he is wondering why Kiriko is taking so long. Damn, that's because she's been kidnapped. Go rescue her, for God's sake! The next morning, Maru decides to see what's going on with Kiryu and why he's taking so long, but some bodyguards stop him. Maru tells them he came to pick up a girl, but they have orders not to let anyone through. Maru ends up throwing these guys into the river, approaches the other one, and throws him in too. Ew. Maru runs to the plant, and with his chest open like a real macho, he jumps. Maru makes mashed potatoes with the guards. Good heavens, this guy is an animal. As soon as he has a memory, but the memory is not his, it is a memory of the old Kiruko. Apparently, somehow, Kiruko's body still has memories of when it belonged to her. But Kiruko can't understand why Robin did that to her. You're kidding, right? The guy is a bully, so don't mess around. Puppy Maru arrives to the rescue, sees Kiruko tied to the bed, and runs into Robin. Now you're gonna get what's yours and happy. Robin starts screaming for help, and Maru corners him in a dead end. Robin tells him that maybe he's the child that Kiruko has been taking care of, and lunges at Maru, but Maru punches him in the face, right? How cool. Good heavens. Maru starts to hit Robin frantically. Maru, that's it. Maru, that's it. Oh my. The boy doesn't move. Maru, Kiruko arrives at the scene and asks him to please stop. If this continues, he'll kill Robin. Robin, thank God and Kiruko that they didn't turn you into jam. Kiruko is very devastated by what happened, and Maru tells her that he knows that the situation is very complicated since technically her body is that of a girl, but her mind is that of a boy. But regardless of that, Maru loves her with all his being and has no idea what his life would be like without her, and swears to her that no matter what happens, he will take care of her from now on, and they both end up hugging. Kiruko ends up destroying Robin's photo, and Maru swears that if he sees Robin again, he will kill him with his own hands, and they both decide to continue with their adventure to find paradise. It's his blender with wheels. At night, some guys investigate the plant that Robin was in charge of, but no one is there. Not even Robin is here, but there is only one door that is closed. They decide to open it, and on Wednesday, they find the body of a woman tied to a monster. But damn, the monster moves. Finally, we see Mimiji Hime, Taka, Shiro, and Answando on a boat heading to the city. How did they get the boat? I have no idea. How do they know how to drive a boat? I also have no idea. How did they check if the boat has gas or not? I also have no idea. They never explained any of that to us. And that's all that happens in the first season of Tengoku Daimi, or also known as Heavenly Lion. Comment Maru if you watched the video until the end, and believe me, comment because I give heart to each and every one of the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my summaries. So, without anything else to say, I was Eduardo. Remember that I love you. See you next time. Yeah.